All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the world that lives right behind your screen. We're going to understand the powerful and, frankly, often invisible forces that are shaping our digital lives every single day. So, let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. When you pick up your phone, is it because you decided to, or did your phone kind of decide for you? It seems like a really simple question, but the answer, as you'll see, is way more complicated than you think. Because check this out, 96. That's the number. And you're probably thinking, 96 what? Well, if you're like the average person, that's how many times you check your phone. Every single day. That works out to about once every 10 minutes that you're awake. We're interrupting work, conversations, our own thoughts, just to glance at that little screen. This isn't just some new habit. It's a fundamental shift in how we exist. So, how in the world did we get here? How did this become normal? To really get it, we have to start at the surface, with the most visible part of this whole thing, our world of trends. You've seen them, from fashion to dances to weird challenges. These waves of behavior just seem to pop out of nowhere and take over everything. Oh yeah, you remember these, right? In 2017, the fidget spinner was absolutely everywhere. It was just a simple little toy, but it became a global obsession. In just 1 year, people spent over $500 million on them. And then, poof, gone. Almost as fast as it appeared, it vanished. By 2019, they were basically a historical artifact. And this is the perfect illustration of a social media trend. A massive, explosive fire, followed by a quick burnout into nothing. And this constant, rapid-fire cycle of disposable stuff, it's actually doing something to our brains. There's a term for it now, and it's pretty brutal: brain rot. It's so real and so widespread that Oxford actually named it the 2024 word of the year. And it perfectly describes how our attention spans are just shredding, how our ability to focus on any one thing is deteriorating thanks to a nonstop diet of fast, cheap, low-quality content. Okay, so we see the trends, we feel the brain rot, but why? Why are we so easily hooked by all this? To get that answer, we've got to peel back another layer of the onion and look at what's happening inside our own heads. You've probably heard of dopamine, right? Most of us think of it as the pleasure chemical. But here's the thing. That's not really what it is. It's actually the motivation chemical. See, your brain releases it before you get a reward, in anticipation of it. It's the craving. It's that, ooh, what's next feeling that drives you to keep scrolling, hoping the very next post will be the one that gives you that little rush. And of course, tech companies know exactly how this dopamine system works. They've literally engineered a process to hijack it. It's called the hooked model. It all starts with a trigger, that little red dot. Your action is to open the app. Then comes the masterstroke, the variable reward. You never know what you're going to get. It could be amazing, it could be boring. It's the exact same principle that makes a slot machine in Vegas so addictive. And finally, you make an investment, a like, a comment, which just feeds the system more data to trigger you all over again. It's a perfect, self-perpetuating loop. But okay, it's not just our brain chemistry. It's also our deep, deep human psychology. I mean, check this out. Way back in the 1950s, an experiment showed something wild. 75% of people, 75%, knowingly gave a wrong answer to a simple question just because everyone else in the room did. We are hardwired to follow the herd, even when we know the herd is running in a ridiculous direction. And then, of course, there's the other big one. You know it well. FOMO, the fear of missing out. It's that little anxious voice in the back of your head saying, hey, you better check your phone. You might be missing something important. That anxiety is an incredibly powerful engine that keeps us glued to our feeds, desperate to keep up. All right, so we've got the brain science and the psychology that gets us hooked, but who's building the hook and why? Well, you already know the answer, don't you? It's money. It's always money. So let's talk about the business of your attention. Have you ever really stopped to wonder why these massive, globe-spanning platforms are free? There's an old saying in the tech world: if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. The service you see, the fun app with all the photos and videos, that's just the bait. The actual product being sold to advertisers is your attention. It's your data. It's you. And when I say they're selling you, what do I mean? I mean your data. And we're not just talking about your name and email here. We're talking about everything. Your location, even pulled from your photos, every single thing you click, like, or share, your search history, what you look at on other websites. They build a psychological profile of you that is so accurate, it can often predict what you want before you even know you want it. So just how valuable is all this data? How much is your attention really worth? In 2023, the social media market was valued at $231 billion. To put that in perspective, that is more than the entire economic output of many countries. Your attention has become one of the most valuable commodities on Earth. Okay, so it's a giant business built on our psychology. So what? Who cares? Well, this is where it gets really serious, because this digital world is having very real, very tangible, and often very damaging effects on our physical world and on our own minds. Let's just take one example, fast fashion, an entire industry that basically runs on social media trends. Think about all those clothing hauls you see online. Well, here's the real cost. An unbelievable 85% of that clothing ends up in a landfill within a single year. And the industry itself is responsible for 1/10 of all global carbon emissions. It's staggering. And the cost isn't just to the planet. It's to our own mental health. This number right here, 50%. That means half. Half of all social media users report feeling stressed by the nonstop pressure for likes, for validation, for projecting this perfect curated life that isn't even real. It's creating a massive anxiety epidemic. And it goes even deeper than just stress. Scientists actually have names for what's happening to our ability to think. One is attention residue. That's when you switch from your phone back to your work, but a piece of your brain is still stuck on that last notification. You're never fully present. Then there's cognitive offloading. It just means we're letting our phones do our thinking for us. Why remember how to get somewhere when you have GPS? Why remember a fact when you can Google it? Our mental muscles are getting weaker because we've stopped using them. But maybe the most alarming impact is what we're seeing in young kids. I just want you to read this quote from a parent. Their child developed a speech delay because he spent so much time watching cartoons where characters didn't talk. He just assumed that's how communication worked in the real world. They're calling this phenomenon virtual autism, and it's a terrifying look at how excessive screen time is derailing critical developmental skills. Okay, I know that was all a lot, and it is really easy to hear all that and just feel hopeless. But here is the good news, and it is good news. We are not powerless in this. Our brains are incredibly resilient. We can absolutely take concrete, simple steps to take back our attention and our lives from the algorithm. So what can you do? Like right now, today? Here's a super simple action plan. 3 steps. First, start filtering trends. Before you buy that thing or do that challenge, just pause and ask yourself, do I actually want this, or am I just following the crowd? Second, do a digital detox. Turn off the notifications. Seriously, they are the gateway drug. And third, actively, consciously prioritize your real offline life. Call someone instead of texting. I love thinking about it like this. These apps were intentionally designed with addictive features to keep you hooked. So you can fight back with mindful design. Every red dot you turn off, every autoplay video you disable, that's a small act of rebellion. It's about taking back control and making your digital space work for you, not against you. And really, it all comes down to one simple idea: ease of access. The harder it is to get that quick hit, the less power it has over you. I mean, look at this. Turning off notifications is super easy, and it has a huge impact. Deleting the apps from your phone entirely, a little more friction, sure, but the impact is massive. It breaks that mindless muscle memory of just tap and scroll, tap and scroll. So I'll leave you with this one final thought. Every scroll, every like, every trend you follow is a choice. It feeds the system. It writes a little piece of your life story. And the question you have to ask yourself is this: who's holding the pen? Are you writing your story, or are you letting an algorithm write it for you? The choice, ultimately, is yours.